I think the only time that anybody that I can remember uh, got really upset with, for real, with things that I said. I thought at the time, and this was in like '94 or whatever. I thought that Bret Hart was upset, genuinely upset about the things that I said about his parents when I made fun of Stu and Helen Hart, and but then, and I guess the reason I thought that was because the first time he put me in the sharpshooter, I thought he was going to break my back. So I said, "This guy's for real mad about what I said about Stu and Helen." But in reality, later on, uh, I didn't get a chance to be around or talk that much to Brett over the years. But as the years have gone by, I've had more of the opportunity to actually, you know, hang out and talk with Brett sometimes. And that was one of the things I got to ask him. And he said, "Oh my gosh, no." He said they said even my parents loved it. Stu and Helen both loved the fact that I included them into that rivalry so much. He said that my mom told me that Jerry Lawler's making stars out of us. They're putting us on TV every week, and he's talking about us every week. And everywhere they went, the people would come up to them and say, "Oh, well, what about what Lawler said about you?" and that sort of thing. So they really appreciated it, and he told me that she told him that they loved it, and so I was always happy about that. And because I was concerned that maybe Brett had been upset over the years, but he said that he wasn't at all. The only other one that I thought really got mad about something I said was Taz, and it was just a little, it was just a little comment that was made during the invasion, the ECW invasion. And when they first, Vince and I were sitting there doing the commentary, and all of a sudden, here comes all the ECW guys, and we'd heard so much about them and all this stuff. And then when I saw Taz, I'm just Taz is great wrestler and a great performer, and the human suplex machine and all that sort of stuff. But he's not a very tall guy, right? I mean, he's like a little fire plug kind of guy. And so I don't know why I'm just things pop into my head, and I looked at Vince and I said, "Look at that Taz." This guy, he looked a lot bigger on the Lucky Charms box. And and so anyway, apparently Taz was really offended by that because he was really seriously into that character in ECW at the time. And so yeah, he kind of got offended, and I don't think he ever actually told me that he got offended. Maybe he didn't, but I just always felt that he did. And he and I sort of had a not a strained relationship, but really just didn't really have any kind of much relationship, over the years. And I always felt that was one thing that I said that may have kind of hit home a little bit with the guy. But other than that, everybody always took, and especially during the Attitude Era, everybody always took what was said with a grain of salt. I can remember doing an interview with, oh my gosh, with Paul Bearer one time. And we talked about, and this stuff, when I go back, the cool thing about the network now, let me give you a plug for the WWE Network. The great thing about the WWE Network is nothing has been edited on the WWE Network. You can go back and watch all of this stuff, in the on-demand section of the WWE Network, and you can relive it right there the way it was in all its glory at the time it happened. But I did an interview one time with Paul Bearer when I guess the Undertaker had switched to over to being a good guy. And Kane came along, and he was explaining. I think he was explaining how Kane came about, and oh my gosh, it was just so over the top. I mean, we just we talked about Paul Bearer talked about having sex with the Undertaker's mother. It was just it was crazy.
You said here's Paul Bearer sticking his baloney.
Yeah. Or sausage or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said, I don't think we could say that here, but I think I said, "Are you telling me that you slipped your sausage to the Undertaker's mother?" That may have to be edited out. I'm not sure. But anyway, that, some of the things that were said back then were just crazy.
It was, nuts. And that's what made it so genuine because, people do talk that way when they're just casually hanging out. with
Yeah,
buddies.
of course they did.
It's the
Of
way
course they,
people talk, and now, it just feels too scripted. It feels too
yeah.
robotic, and these guys, and the women wrestlers too. It feels like, they can't say what any other person would say in that situation. They're saying off a script, and it's too robotic and sometimes not believable.